Es una guerra.
Está temblando. Desastre que hay. Acabado totalmente. Observen después el terremoto. Observen cómo quedó todo. Señores, grave la situación que estamos viviendo.
The videos that we see are apocalyptic. It looks like a war zone. It looks like someone threw bombs, but it was an earthquake, 2 earthquakes. Can you believe? First 7.2 and 45 seconds later 7.5. This is what happened, and the aftermath that I'm going to show you video after video, it's absolutely shocking. Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has declared a national state of emergency following powerful, really powerful back-to-back earthquakes and multiple aftershocks. These severe tremors have caused buildings to collapse everywhere, and the capital city of Caracas and surrounding regions has prompted the immediate mobilization of emergency rescue teams. Residents are strongly urged to stay clear of compromised structures and remain alert. Local authorities are currently assessing the full extent of the casualties and the structural damage. The USGS estimates 10,000 people, maybe even more. Some say this is going to be in the hundreds of thousands. This is absolutely devastating what we see here. Lots of towers, lots of apartment towers, concrete towers, probably older, 1960s, something like that, have collapsed. It's devastating. Can show you a hotel here. This is the before picture. This is the after picture. This is what happens, and it surprises me that there are even structures that look newer that have collapsed like nothing, as if it was cardboard boxes. I mean, if you see apartment buildings ripped open, some completely collapsed, the dust everywhere, and people are on the water and they're looking, they see how everything's collapsing. What a feeling is this if you're on the boat and you know your family members, everyone might be on land, and then it looks first like the dust, like landslides or something like this, but it's probably all these apartment buildings collapsing, these towers collapsing, and that's what they see from the water. This is absolutely frightening. The scenes are apocalyptic, I have to say, guys. This is absolutely bad, and we're dealing with northern central Venezuela. Within less than a minute, first quake at 6:04 p.m. Venezuela time near Morón, San Felipe, Yumare area. Second quake around 6:05 p.m. It was only 45 seconds later. It's almost same epicenter, Yumare, Morón, Venezuela. USGS says it's a doublet. So the 7.5 main shock was preceded 39 seconds earlier by the 7.24 shock. Depth, USGS keeps the 7.5 at 10 kilometers, 6 miles deep. 7.2 reported around 20 to 22 kilometers deep, 12 to 14 miles. USGS has listed the shaking as violent shaking for both events. It's all red. USGS gives out an alert, red pager alert level for both events, meaning high likelihood of major damage and casualties. We see that from the videos, right? The airports, everything. And disaster is likely widespread, densely populated area, both earthquakes on land right underneath these densely populated area. That's why USGS uses the warning language, high casualties and extensive damage are probable. I mean, we see it, right? It's beyond probable. USGS has a model estimate. Reuters reports the initial USGS fatality model most likely ranged from 10,000 to 100,000 people. This is a model estimate, not a confirmation that this has already happened. Official national losses not yet confirmed in the latest reports, but you know, this is a range. This is, I mean, I'm out of words. Do we have confirmed damage reports? Yes, as you see it, the collapsed buildings, collapsed homes, rescue operations underway, trapped people, growing injuries reported. Caracas, buildings collapsed, emergency workers were seen searching the rubble, people fled onto the streets. Chacao, eastern Caracas, the mayor reported 2 collapsed structures, 16 injured, and also people lost. But no official number of how many. Altamira, Caracas, rescue workers, medics, volunteers, and relatives searching around collapsed residential buildings. And it's still dangerous because aftershocks can happen at any time. I mean, let's hope and pray that the 7.5 was the main shock. Hospital de Clínicas Caracas staff were asked to double night shifts. Video showed ceiling panels hanging and plaster debris inside the hospital too. La Guaria, reported as one of the worst hit areas, reports mention collapsed buildings, major damage near the coast. Airport, Simon Bolivar International Airport, Maquietia, Guardian reports Venezuela's main airport suffered severe damage and was closed. We've seen the videos. Metro and train stations were halted after the quake. State of emergency declared. Gas supply. Reports from Venezuela say gas was cut in damaged buildings as a safety measure. Good. Quakes were felt by roughly 8 million people. 8 million people. Tsunami. Alerts, advisories were issued for parts of the Caribbean, including Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. Areas of potential hazard wave. Latest tsunamis, the US tsunami warning system now says no tsunami warning, advisory, watch, or threat is in effect. Northern Venezuela sits on the boundary where the Caribbean plate meets the South American plate. So fault system, the relevant plate boundary fault zone includes the Boconó, San Sebastián, El Pilar fault system. USGS describes this boundary as dominated by major transform faults. This seems to be the culprit, likely mechanism, shallow crustal faulting on the Caribbean South American plate boundary. Exact ruptured fault not yet officially confirmed. Main danger right now, violent shaking, aftershocks, collapsing more buildings, landslides on steep terrain, damaged roads, damaged utilities, delayed rescue access because of all these collapsed buildings and the blocked road. Venezuela's 1812 earthquake caused widespread destruction already in Mérida and Caracas, estimated at 30,000 people lost. But that was 1812. Now we have way more people living there. 1967's Caracas was hit by a very catastrophic magnitude 6 range earthquake. So USGS model is warning right now high casualties are probable, not confirmed. So this is just in. Venezuelan acting president has asked doctors and nurses to report to local hospitals and emergency rooms to help treat those injured in the earthquakes. And he says, quote, I want to ask the doctors, nurses, and all the health personnel as a whole to go to their jobs so that we can attend to the people who are being taken to the emergency rooms of both hospitals and private health centers. She also said that national, state, and municipal authorities are working to address the crisis. This is a crisis. This is a natural disaster. They said priority aid being sent to the country's hardest hit states. U.S. Energy Secretary sends condolences to Venezuela. Quote, Secretary Chris Wright, my thoughts and prayers are with the people of Venezuela affected by today's earthquakes. We send our deepest condolences to the families who have suffered loss and are wishing strength, safety, and a swift recovery to all impacted communities during this time. And I think we can all say that we agree with that and that we join him in this wording. So these twin earthquakes, they leave a trail of destruction, especially in Caracas. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau says Washington is already coordinating support for Venezuela. They say the U.S. stands with Venezuelan people in the aftermath of this evening's devastating earthquakes. We're in touch with the authorities and mobilizing assistance. So I think, yeah, that is good. And how much energy? What are we talking about? How much energy is released by a magnitude 7.5 earthquake? The second earthquake that hit Venezuela was equivalent to about, listen to this, 100 million tons of, oh God, it's hard to say, trinitroluene, TNT. Let's just say TNT, exploding, 100 million tons. According to a geophysicist at the University of California in San Diego, the damage is particularly severe around Caracas because that region has a unique geography. Caracas has a basically deep sediment basin that amplifies the seismic waves that come up from deep within the Earth's surface, and LA has a problem like this as well, in a basin. So it's kind of like this can happen to a lot of us. Where we are right now, I'm sitting on the Cascadia Fault. Imagine this magnitude 9 plus. I don't even want to think about this. So the geologist says whenever you have these basins with a lot of sediment, they get magnified, right? They amplify the waves, and the shaking gets even stronger. El Salvador offers to send rescuers to Venezuela. And also, and that is interesting, because this is what has been reported earlier in my report about the California earthquake, 5.6, there's damages, strong shaking. It kept getting stronger. People report they felt it, that the earthquake was getting stronger. I quote one person in Venezuela. It was unbelievable. I don't even know how long it lasted. She was on the top floor of a shopping center when the quakes struck. And then she says, we went out through the emergency stairs. This is how they got us out. A 69-year-old woman was in the same room as her bedridden sister when she felt the jolt, and she said it kept getting stronger. I started to see the windows begin to move, and then everything was shaking. School, of course, suspended. Railway services suspended. Also, they have political turmoil there. So the exiled opposition leader has also said, Edmundo Gonzalez, he said Venezuela is ill-equipped to handle this disaster. He's widely recognized right now as the rightful winner of Venezuela's 2024 presidential election. Let's not get into politics, but he has expressed concern that authorities do not have the capacity to respond to the earthquakes and will need international support. And I really think this is obvious when we see the images, right? Definitely. We hear more from residents of Caracas. They have been recounting the moment when the earthquake struck. They say, I've never experienced anything like this. Many were at home at the time when the earthquakes struck. Because today is a public holiday that marks an 1821 military victory that helped secure the country's independence from Spain. And now this happens just today. Whether this is good or bad that it was a holiday that I don't know. It looks like many of these towers that collapsed were residential, where they're office building, they look more residential. So maybe not good that people were at home. I quote one resident, as soon as it started, we began hearing people screaming. Everyone was running down the stairs. The survivors said they rushed to evacuate as the buildings were shaking. Another one says there was a very loud crash. Things fell in the house, jugs inside the refrigerator. I've never experienced anything like this. Many images that we're seeing are coming out of Caracas, area of Altamira, area filled with businesses and restaurants where several buildings collapsed. One of them is a 22-story building. We see images of emergency services trying to get people out of the rubble. People were getting out. Also heard some people screaming the names of their relatives, apparently. It's hard to get into Caracas. The roads are closed. Lots of rubble. Venezuela's Minister of Interior reports, and he says it's an alarming situation, especially in the Caracas neighborhood. He said people there are now in desperate circumstances. Government is working to activate aid and rescue efforts. He says be careful with children and elderly. Call each other and check that no one has been harmed. Caracas, the capital, right? I forgot to say that. I have a quote from a journalist that is currently in Caracas, and he describes the scenes of panic across the city. He says, all I can see are shattered objects and glass. He says the natural disaster has caused panic in the population. We were forced to leave our homes. He says my building, for example, suffered an important fracture. As of now, we don't have power or internet. All I can see is shattered glass and objects. At least 8 buildings sustained significant damage in the Chacao municipality, and others have collapsed completely. He says we could see people on the streets, people afraid to go back to their homes or buildings, and saying there were fears of possible aftershocks. And yes, stay out of the buildings, right? But stay away from the buildings too if something collapses or falls down. So this is really scary. So, and we will see aftershocks not only today. We can see over the next week magnitude 3, magnitude 4 aftershocks, right? The region around Venezuela will likely experience these aftershocks. And based on historical knowledge that we have and statistics of earthquakes, there is a 99% chance that you'll have some magnitude 4 and magnitude 3 aftershocks. Magnitude 5 has a high probability, over 90% probability. But something like magnitude 7 or 6 has a very lower probability of occurring again within the next week. But with these buildings that are so highly damaged, the ones that are still standing, even a magnitude 5 something can give them the rest. So the difference between each level and magnitude, guys, again, I have to say it's logarithmic. So means magnitude 7.5 earthquake releases about 180 times as much energy as a magnitude 6 earthquake. So I will keep you updated about this tragic situation, guys. If you want to know what happened in California today, which is also crazy, if you're sitting in an airplane and the San Francisco airport tower tells you abort, do not land, circle in the sky, we just have an earthquake, a strong one. Watch the video here in the end screen, and I see you soon with an update. Bye-bye.